Okay. So again, for those of you that are watching, hello, my name is Alice Fuller. I'm principal consultant at Sheer Social. But right now, I'm actually an adjunct instructor at Wake Tech Community College, and I am live streaming basically from my class, my introductory social media class. And I would show you the audience here, but I don't have permission to do so. And my special guest, Mr. Attorney. Can I say attorney? That's fine, right? Attorney.
You can say attorney.
Attorney Thomas Varnum. He's going to explain to you social media law and why I don't have permission to show you the people in my class. So if you do have social media questions, especially social media law questions, you can ask them. However, here's a disclaimer. Attorney Varnum is not here to give you a private consultation about whatever happened with your blog or your Twitter or your personal whatever. He is here to share general information to keep you out of trouble as far as posting to Facebook, posting to Twitter, and social media in general. And while you are watching on Facebook Live, my class is watching too here in our computer lab. And so I'm trying to serve two audiences, technically three audiences at one time. So, Mr. Varnum, Attorney Varnum,
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm from the South. You know how we do.
Thomas is fine.
Okay, Thomas,
that?
Wonderful. So, Thomas, please explain to people where you are right now and what your specialty in law is.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thanks again for having me. Look forward to having the conversation tonight. I am in my office in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm a partner with the Brooks Pierce Law Firm. There are a few of us who are lucky to be by the beach, but we have offices in Greensboro and Raleigh, so we're a North Carolina law firm. My focus is on intellectual property and film and entertainment matters. So kind of a dual focus. I like to say that I represent content creators, creative people who are out there doing things, and so I get involved in digital marketing campaigns, websites, blogs, social media activities, all that kind of stuff that creative businesses, creative individuals are all getting into. So it's kind of a fun focus, I think. And Alice, you said it very well. The traditional disclaimer. I'm a lawyer. I'm not your lawyer. I don't think I am, at least. So everything I'm talking about tonight is meant to be informative, informational, educational. At least I hope it will be. If you have specific questions about your situation or your rights, you should consult a lawyer about those things, because there are a lot of facts that come into each decision. I'm just going to give you broad strokes, an introduction to what this legal landscape looks like.
Okay. So, speaking of the legal landscape and social
Yes.
media, how fast is social media and the legal landscape evolving? Because I would imagine right now there are so many cases that might be the first time this has happened. There's so many cases wherein you're probably creating, is it precedents in many cases?
Precedent.
See, I did pay attention in school. So, how is it evolving? How fast is social media law evolving right now?
It's evolving very quickly on most fronts. You're right. The last year, even compared to 2008 to 2010, the landscape is so different. There are very few lawsuits that don't touch in some way to something that happened online or in social media in all areas of law. Even as recently as 3-4 years ago, social media was kind of the Wild West. You didn't see a whole lot of influence impacting the law as much as you do now, because I think early on, social media platforms, something the young people were doing, or it's all about sharing photos of your cat and about talking about what you did last night. And now, in the last several years, we've seen big business embrace it, and we've seen these huge companies realize we need to get out there and get on it. And with that, you've seen lawyers and lawsuits and developing areas of law very quickly.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're still dealing with a Copyright Act that came into effect in the 70s.
Wow.
Which, Yeah, Congress wasn't exactly able to write laws for the internet back in the 70s. So that takes a while to evolve and trying to, put a square peg into a round hole.
Okay.
But we're seeing copyright cases dealing with social media coming out, and each one, like you said, Alice, is kind of a precedent because they're unique facts.
Okay. So let's get right into it. How do you define unlawful content? What is considered quote-unquote unlawful content, and what are the consequences? Well, we know the consequences. The consequences are you'll be sued. So
right. Well, actually, there are all kinds of consequences. So as far as unlawful content, it's broad, right? Because it comes in many shapes, many sizes. I mean, the basic definition would be content that violates the law, and whether that's violates some kind of statute on the books or violates somebody else's rights, is content that the law says you can't use. And so it's contextual what it looks like. And the same thing might be unlawful as compared to one person, but maybe not another. So the backlashes, the potential consequences of using unlawful content, whether it's something that infringes a copyright, whether it's something that violates your social media platform's terms of use, they can go all the way from the severe to criminal laws. That you put up something that was so unlawful, there are criminal laws, could be felony, misdemeanor, whatever, down to civil penalties that can be enforced. You can get sued, like you said, civil liability. You could also, I counsel my clients, there are also these other considerations too, in terms of use, getting potentially kicked off of the social media platform. And if you're a business that relies on that, that's huge. Even though you might not get sued, you might lose your platform.
Yeah.
Consumer backlash is more and more a problem. So you use somebody's photo that you didn't get permission. Maybe they don't want to sue you. Maybe they don't have the money. But then they go out there and guess what? They've got social media. So it's easy for them to get their message out. And suddenly you look like a big bad company who won't pay that artisan or that small-time photographer what they're worth, and you steal from them. And that's bad PR. So there's a whole spectrum of consequences for not doing this the right way.
When exactly do your intellectual property rights begin? Is it the moment you create it or the moment you publicly post it?
Right. So there are different kinds of intellectual property. Mainly we're talking about copyrights here. Copyright being the form of intellectual property that protects artistic works like photographs, music, writings, drawings, those kind of things. So there you have copyright protection under, again, our very modern 1976 Act. You have copyright protection as soon as you create it, as soon as you fix it in a tangible means. So you create it in your head, it's not protected yet. You put it on the computer screen, or you draw it by hand, or you snap that photo, then you've now created it, and you have protectable interest in it.
Wow. So the minute it comes out of you, the minute you put it on something, paper or the internet or visual, anything, that's when those rights start.
Yeah, we call it, in the law, we call it a tangible means of expression. If it's put somewhere where someone else can see it and read it and hear it, then that works.
Wow.
It could be it could be in zeros and ones in software code somewhere, but hey, you can use a machine and you could read it, so it's protected.
Wow, okay. So, we hear fair use used a lot. Please explain what fair use is versus what it is not.
Wow, that's a big one right there. So fair use. I always tell I teach a class at Elon Law School, an entertainment law class, and we go into some depth into copyright and fair use. And I always preface it with, there are 13 people who can actually tell you what fair use is. That's the 12 members of the jury and the judge.
Oh.
Beyond that, it's really gray and there's a lot of argument. So what fair use is, it's the way we kind of put our First Amendment principles into the copyright laws themselves, saying, okay, you can exclusively own rights in this creative content, but at the same time, this whole First Amendment thing lets us talk about your work, lets us have our own expression. So we've got to kind of back off on this exclusive ownership and allow people to use copyrighted content in certain scenarios.